Thank you everybody for attending today. And if you haven't already met her, this is our wonderful Randi Skinner. Right now I'm in gallery view, so she's not showing up right now, but she's talked before. She's a Stoke member. We're really happy to have her back. She's the founder of RS Consulting, and she's a marketing expert and idea strategist. So, you know, if you have any questions about selling through social media or if you're really marketing your business, now's the time to ask those questions, you know? So let's start off and give a round of introductions. I'll start off. My name is Maddie Austin. It's not Heather Gregory. I need to switch that also on the Zoom. And I'm the hospitality and event coordinator at Stoke. So it's nice to meet everybody. But yeah, if y'all wouldn't mind just chiming in and giving a little bit about yourself or maybe your reason for attending today, that'll help us get started.
Well, I'm Stephanie Burrs, and hi, Lacey.
Hello.
I have a business where I help nonprofits with their fundraising, and I've been at Stoke since November.
Cool. It's nice to meet you.
You too.
Alrighty. Oh, we had somebody leave.
I'm Chris Reinecke. I own Reinecke Design and work with local businesses to establish their brand from top to bottom.
Awesome. So this is very pertinent then, right? Awesome.
I've heard Randi has a great reputation in our community, so I had to see what she had to say.
All right, Jim, and then if you want to finish us off, we also have Julie coming in. I don't know if you can hear me. All right. Well, Julie, do you want to, I know I just admitted you from the waiting room. Do you want to jump in and introduce yourself real fast?
Yeah, hi. I was actually on my phone and I've switched over to my computer so I would at least have a profile picture. But I'm Julie James. I'm an educator. I teach at University of North Texas and co-founder of Playable Media. We do game-based learning design and curriculum, and we design learning games and that kind of thing. So so it's good to be here this morning and nice to see y'all or meet y'all.
Yeah, glad to have you. All right, Randi, I'm going to spotlight your video and you can go ahead and get started.
Cool. Good morning. I have to say, I think Julie wins the profile picture with your like peeking in. So I feel like that's my goal for this week is to update my profile picture to be fun. Good morning. Thank y'all for having me on to chat. I'm have knowledge, will travel, and I'm always down to talk marketing. So I kind of have like a couple of thoughts, but would love to just open up the floor, since this is a conversation, to see if there's any specific topics or questions that y'all want to trail down before I kind of hit my own personal agenda for the call. Nothing? All right. So we can just go ahead and close out now. We're good.
No, I'm sorry.
Marketing questions have been answered. No. So, okay. So when they asked me to have this conversation, I was trying to think of like, what should we talk about? Because, you know, the typical things that I talk about would be like social media, social selling, email marketing, you know, creating a brand that really focuses on your target audience. So doing more of like the strategy side of that. I'm excited to learn more, Christian, about what you do, because, you know, maybe there's some collaboration that might happen down the line. But and what I started thinking about was the challenges that I feel like I have run into as a marketer. And I wanted to see if anybody kind of felt the same way. I feel like in the midst of COVID, with everything going on, like the number one thing, no matter where you fall or your opinion, is that we can all agree that there's so much unknown. And as humans, when there's a lot of unknown, we, like, in my personal opinion, like grab on to what we know and try and like make sense of things. And me personally, I like to have control of things, right? So I think those same things affect us in our business. And you know, those things, same concepts that are happening in our personal life, there's no way that they're not floating over into our business. And so one of the buzzwords that's been happening and that I've talked about too is, especially at the beginning, was pivoting. So we need to pivot. We need to pivot. We need to get creative. And so I've got a new thought. I think we need to also learn when not to pivot. And we can pivot too much to the point where, specifically in like social media, I'm like doing digital ads and things like that. If you're pivoting too much, you're not building up the virality and the awareness and really utilizing the tools as best you can. It takes time, for example, in Facebook, for Facebook to map out and kind of know who you're looking for. And the longer that you're doing a campaign, in essence, like the better it's going to be. So that's kind of my thought of like, are there some things that y'all have done to pivot and then kind of realize, maybe I pivoted too many times or not, you know, too much? Like, has anybody else encountered that? Hi. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, good morning, y'all. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry to be late. My computer decided we're not doing one more Zoom unless we update and restart. So here I am.
Hello. Hi, Nicole. Yeah, if anyone wants to chime in, just go for it.
I think I do have a thought about pivoting too much. It's related, but not necessarily like we've pivoted too much. I think I've found myself kind of falling into like silence, sort of. Like, of course, you know, there are things that we've had to promote and market, but I'm also kind of like, I know that there's an additional layer to the message that we want to put out about what Stoke does, cultivating community, empowering entrepreneurs. But because there's the uncertainty that you just talked about, and it's been 6 to 8 weeks now or longer, but it's like just being concerned about using the right words to express, like, we're still here and offering blank, but not, you know, it's not like, we're not like trying to sell, we're just trying to stay connected with people. So it's, for me, it's kind of like pivoting, but not necessarily like pivoting so much so that we're changing directions, but
well, it's almost like you're
wanting to
changing
get it right.
perspective, right? And I owe you a recommendation that I said I would write up. And I think it's important to hear from your customers when you are going to pivot, or like in this case, I think it's more of a change of perspective, because I can say for myself as a Stoke member, right? I have received more out of my membership from a business standpoint since we have been in lockdown than when I was there. And not because of Stoke, but because of me and my interaction and my level of interaction, my level of interest in the programming and the, you know, the relevancy and things like that. I mean, you would know better than I, but it doesn't seem like you've changed a whole lot in terms of the programming and things like that. It's just me as a customer, I finally became more engaged because of the time and space. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't know if that's helpful, but hopefully.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Yeah, definitely hearing from our direct, like, primary audience for sure. Thank you, Nicole.
Encouraging, for sure. Yeah. So I think like two things kind of come to mind. So I definitely want to talk about some tips for how to kind of know when to pivot and when not to pivot. But Lacey, I do want to touch on what you said, which I think a lot of people are in the same mindset of like, we're not selling. And what I'm telling my clients and what I'm saying to kind of in my community is, why not? Like, if you're not asking first, and I was guilty of this, right? Like, and I had like my kind of marketing mentors, right? You have like your people, and they were like, well, why aren't, and I'm known for like my sales skills and like business development background. Like, I collaborate with sales strategies. So then somebody said, why aren't you just asking for the sale in the drip campaign that I was putting together? And I was like, because we're educating, because that's the time when they're like, no, like, listen to your own advice. And I thought that was so spot on, because why wouldn't you ask for the sale? Like, just because you're like sharing an offering that you have, which, let's use Stoke as an example, is a very appropriate thing for right now. Like, you know, maybe people can't afford the office they were in. Maybe offices aren't you know, they're not open still. I know I have a lot of friends that are still working remotely here in Denton, and their offices other places. So like there's a solution to a problem that is even in the midst right now. So I think that I would say like one of the things that we can all think about and that I know personally that I've been thinking about is like, it is appropriate to sell. Just the way the messaging may be a little bit different. And I believe in, you know, more of relationship marketing and, you know, more of problem and solution. And so if you're thinking about who your target audience is and you're thinking about the problem and the solution that you're having, then you're not just doing this like hard sell. So there's a way for it to be appropriate in the given circumstances. I mean, you know, maybe you have a little bit of a slower sales cycle, or you're more kind of thoughtful in how often you're selling, things like that. But yeah, like we gotta sell stuff, man. Like we need to stay in business. And I even had some of my friends that were like, oh yeah, like we're not taking on any new clients because we don't want to, you know, we don't want to sell right now. And I'm like, I feel like right now is a great time to take on new clients because there's so many people that just don't know what to do. Now, granted, it may not be my largest client. There may not be the largest marketing dollars, but like who people need help to figure out how to go digital. And so, yeah, I think for me, like as I've figured out when to pivot and when not to pivot, it's definitely been, I pivoted too much because I started focusing only on educating and giving, which is important, but you also have to focus on selling because you got a product or a service and like people want that. Like they wanted it before, so why wouldn't they want it after? The message might look different. The problem might be different. Like Stoke, right? One of the problems that y'all are solving is people aren't able to go into their offices on the other side of you know, the Metroplex. So there's a new problem, but it's still problem, solution. So those are kind of the pivoting too much and then figuring out how to ground yourself and be like, okay, like, well, I'm going to sell. For me, it's like, I'm going to still sell, or for my clients, we're going to still sell. Our messaging is going to be different, focusing on a problem and solution. And then from the other side of it, it's how kind of like, if you're doing a campaign or if you're doing something new, making sure that you've set up those SMART goals, right? So it's specific, measurable, and like there's a timeline associated. And whatever timeline that you have set in place for this campaign, that you really follow it and that you don't change it. Just because maybe you change some small components, like if you're doing a digital ad, like maybe you should be A/B testing anything you're really doing. So, you know, you're going to change things to go, but not just scrapping and creating something new until you've kind of exercised the full amount of the campaign. And so being very thoughtful that's why, I mean, SMART goals, y'all, like they apply, and even more so now. So as you're putting together that strategy, whether it's for an email campaign or digital marketing or social media, having those SMART goals. So what are you trying to accomplish and in what time frame? You're going to be taking into consideration, because you're a critical thinker, you're smart, you're a business owner, you're going to be taking into consideration the variables outside, right? Like out some circumstances. So the time frame that you select is going to be one that, based upon the variables, you think it makes sense, right? So don't pivot too soon. Don't pivot before you give something enough time to have success. And I know that's been a really hard thing for me, because also results aren't happening as quickly right now, right? Like we're not getting as much organic traffic just coming to our websites. That's just kind of a lot of folks, depending upon their industry, are experiencing. So there's a lot less quick wins, especially so my style is very much, I do a combo of organic and paid. And so you're always going to see results with paid because, you know, you're paying for results. But on organic, it's a lot slower right now on a lot of things. So just really kind of thinking through that strategy and sitting down and actually writing out your SMART goal, I think for me, has been one of the ways to avoid pivoting prematurely and pivoting out of maybe a lack of control for how life is going right now, and not being able to just kind of sit in the unknown. And so you go in and you're like, something new needs to happen. This isn't working exactly how I thought it was. Like, and I think even more now it's happening that, given the circumstances we're all in, I think it's easier for us to do that. Cause I know that's one thing that my clients and I have kind of been combating and figuring out. So I don't know. Is that something that you guys have experienced? I know, Lacey, you kind of said you did, but what's y'all's story? What's going on in y'all's world?
We do have a comment from Julie in the chat. She says she's struggling with the building community and supporting community with our target and not selling. That is in the switch to being online versus with them in the classroom. So real specific.
Yeah. So I'm pulling up the chat so I can see. So struggling since you're no longer having like that face-to-face opportunity and you're having to build the community online, there's a little more of a disconnect. Hey, Julie, is that what that?
Yeah. So it's been easier for me to like connect with a teacher in person, right? And talk about like wanting to help with STEM education using game-based learning in the classroom, and can I come into the classroom? You know what I mean? Like that has been very natural, and I have some great teacher friends, and we've been like able to do that, or out at conference and all these kinds of things. So I don't know if this is pivoting too much, but I thought, oh, maybe I can experiment with like sort of an online membership community where we could do like online courses to walk through a specific lesson plan that they could try either in the classroom or online. And I know that like right now is delicate timing because it's the end of the school year and teachers are swamped. So maybe my expectations are just too high, right? But I'm also so it's the first time for me in trying to sort of just build an email list, get a community going, just like basic things like that. And it's crickets. And I don't know if that's, so I'm struggling with that. I don't want to come off as selling. I probably am. I'm not sure, right? Like I was so excited to be here today and talk to you, and I want to talk to you more about this, right? So anyway, so that's what it is. Like, that's where I'm at. And I'm like, is this just because of timing, because of where I'm at with just getting started? Is it, is it my language? All of those things. So yeah, can you?
Yeah. So that's a great question. We'll have to talk more, dive in more, because I think it's so cool to see how everybody is really getting creative and being like, again, there's this problem, I still got this solution. So how do I get it over to people? So I think everything, like the marketing is emotional, y'all, like, right? Like, and if you're trying to take on the marketing yourself and that's not your, maybe you're good at it, but maybe it's not the thing that comes as easily. And so I think everything you're feeling and experience, Julie, I think it's awesome because number one, it just shows like you're really thinking it through and you're really thinking about it and you're really trying to be intentional. And so if you're kind of having that mindset, I think, not to say that what you're doing is right or wrong, but I think like no matter what, you're going down a good path, right? So like I want to encourage you to like keep down this path. And as far as like your specific question of if you're selling too much or, kind of, is it timing? I mean, timing definitely has part of it, but I really think that there's a lot of value in kind of a focus group mentality. Now, granted, like I think that people's time is more limited, but pick up the phone and just call a couple of the people that you respect that are in your target audience group, the people that, maybe it's someone that you already have a relationship, or maybe it's somebody that's new and you're just like, hey, you know what? Like I like you're someone that I need to connect with more, and I really want your opinion. Because when does someone not want to give their opinion, right? Like, I mean, for the most part, we want to give our opinions. So I would say like reach out to the folks that are your target audience and ask them, see how they're feeling, because they may be like, yeah, it's kind of, coming off a little salesy, like, okay. It's like, what would you like to see more of? Like, is there more, like, do you want to see more like a blog post or something that you can download with tips, or right? Like, what would you like to see more of? And then the other thing would be you really can't ever be too salesy, in my opinion, if you're utilizing testimonials.
Okay.
And other people's stories. And so that would be something, and that's just great to do anyways. Like if you can get somebody else to tell how awesome you are, then like that's worth way better, that's worth like gold versus you telling how awesome you are. Because they're like, well, of course you think you're awesome, right?
Yeah.
So if getting someone to do video testimonials are always going to kill it. Like
Okay.
anything video is always, I use the words always, but let's just say 98% of the time, because someone's going to be like, well, there was this one time that the video did not perform as well as this photo, right? But video is from best practices, like it's still so relevant. We're seeing more and more of that. So I honestly haven't experienced this year that video hasn't outperformed everything. I think we got a couple of other marketers on here, Christian. So you might have some insight there too, but videos, if you can get them to send you like a 30-second or a minute, it doesn't have to be this like super high production, especially right now. You're, given the climate, you could set up a Zoom call and you're interviewing them and you record the Zoom call. So that would be something you could do right now as you're kind of going and talking to them.
Mhm.
But from like what little I know, I think you're on the right track. Like I love the digital membership. I know a lot of people have found a ton of success in that. And then an email drip campaign. I mean, those are foundational things, like getting your services to buy online, which is your membership, and an email drip campaign can't really go wrong. You can do it wrong, but
Right.
the tools you're using are right. So testimonials, talk to them, and then circle back around. Tell me what happens, and we'll talk.
Definitely. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah. What else y'all got going on out there? Is there anything else we want to convo about?
Anyone can jump in. We do have a couple of comments in the chat that we can circle around to. But again, if you have a question or a comment, feel free to just jump in on the video. Let's see where to start.
I didn't have the chat pulled up. Let's see.
I know Christian said that he's big on relationship marketing and sometimes takes too long to get to the point. And then he listed some SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable, repeatable, and time bound. Do you have anything, or I guess, advice on that?
Oh, on the SMART goals, I was just
There
going to say, I was just kind of echoing for those who didn't have the context when Randy was bringing it up. I was just
Awesome.
coming back for you.
Yeah, no problem. And feel free to jump in. I didn't know if your video was off or not, so I thought I would just ask the question for you.
Yeah, Christian, you're so right. If SMART goals is a new terminology, honestly, like go and Google SMART goals, and there's tons of templates. I'm happy, email me and I'll send you some resources too. But this is a part of every marketing strategy that I do, is we put in place a SMART goal. My client may or may not know that it's a SMART goal, right? But that's what it is. And man, relationship marketing, right? It does take a long time, right? But it's more authentic and it's more long-term. And by no means does that mean that's the only thing that you're doing. You might still be doing some of like the car dealership churning stuff out, but it makes sense to every industry, and it makes sense to build that. It's part of building community and setting yourself up for referrals. So it does take time, but I think that it has a place in every, maybe it's not the end all be all, the only thing that you're doing, but it's appropriate and it's necessary. And I hate selling. Like, I don't like feeling salesy. So that's kind of why I've always gone down that path of more of kind of the longer relationship building. But every industry has a different sales cycle, right? So like someone that is, maybe an attorney or financial industry, like their sales cycle is going to be much longer than someone that is selling a product, right? Like something that's maybe a little more simple commodity. So the sales cycle is very different. So really a relational marketing for someone that is, selling makeup or beauty services is going to be significantly shorter than someone that's trying to help you plan for your retirement. So, there's different components there, but yeah, it does take a while. It takes patience, man.
So one question I did have for you is you were talking about pivoting and when to pivot, when not to pivot. This is not specific to the current pandemic or anything like that. What I run into is I pivot too much because I'm what I like to call a multi-creative professional. And so I just have so many squirrel moments, honestly. It's just honing my brand in and saying, this is what I'm about. This is, instead of burying the message with so much information that you can't ever get to the point. That is something I struggle with for me. It's so easy to do for other people to say, oh yeah, but these are all my babies, so it's very difficult to chime in. I was wondering if you could speak some wisdom into that.
Oh man, well, you already said it, right? Like, I can tell you and you can tell me, but like, we need to tell ourselves. I think this is just part of it. It is one of the hurdles, I think, for being a business owner. And especially if you're in the marketing world, right? Because like creative, there's always these things. It's so funny. I actually just recently have set up, I'm doing like a weekly call with one of my buddies in the marketing world, and it's an accountability call. It is literally to focus on what you're saying, which is like, okay, this is the campaign that we're working on. This is the objective that we're working on right now. So like, stay on this path. Don't squirrel off, But I mean, I feel like it's really hard because I can 100% relate, because sometimes when you squirrel is when like magic happens and you're like, but see, I squirreled and it like this beautiful thing happened. And so I think you have to make a choice. What's more important to you? Like, is you squirreling is that part of just who you are and that's part of your style? And like, that's what it is, because just because that's how you do it doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? Now, or is it that, no, like this is a goal that I have. This is something I want to improve on. I feel like if I can accomplish like staying on this more focused path, that it will make me a better business owner, a better creator, right? So I think you do have to kind of make a choice, and then setting in place like a process for how you work when it comes to squirreling, right? So, probably if you do some self-examination, there are some signs and symptoms of the pre-squirrel, right? Like you start to, and maybe at night, you're starting to think about how an idea may or may not work and this other idea may work, or I don't know, there's gotta be some, you're nodding. So pre-squirrel symptoms or signs are a thing, I think they are. So when that starts happening, like what actions do you take? So it may be, for me, I have like, I use Asana for a lot of my project management stuff. And so I'll have like a project that is, I don't call it squirreling, I call it brainstorming, Christian. So, but maybe you need to put squirrel, because that way it like calls it out for what it is, and just dump everything. Like anytime that, and you're not gonna, ideation. That's Julie just posted ideation. That's right. Yep. And that like have a process for how you're going to stop yourself from squirreling. And so it's kind of like an addict. You got to phone a friend. You got to call it out for what it is. You write your ideas down. I know for me, I'm like, I'm going to forget it. This is my genius moment. Like, this is my Shark Tank moment, right? I'm going to forget it. And which is, if it were that great of an idea, right, I'm probably not going to forget it. That's also part of it. But put it in there. And then my self-talk, for me personally, Christian, I don't know, is when I start lumping on too much information, like especially if something is going down a path that maybe takes away from my brain, it's really, it's going back to your target audience. And just this, like just refocusing and saying what truly matters to my audience and what problem am I solving. And if someone can't go in and know that within 5 seconds, then it's wrong. And maybe 10 seconds, okay? Like, maybe 10, but then it's wrong and it's off, and we ain't that important.
Will you repeat the question? Will you repeat that question you should ask yourself again about the audience? Can you just repeat that?
Yeah, well, does it matter to your target audience?
Does it matter to your target audience?
Yeah, like everything that you're doing from a marketing perspective should be focusing on your audience and their goals and their objectives, and like how to make them the storytelling brand, right? Like there's so many great books and stuff, and how to make them the hero of the story and not focusing on me. And a lot of times when you're adding in too many layers or squirreling too much, you're probably not focusing on your specific audience. You're probably going off a little bit more on a tangent, or if you're getting too many of layers in content, I don't know if that's one of your challenges, Christian, but it's probably, kind of going down a path of focusing on more of what you want to tell someone versus what they really want to know. So I don't know if that's helpful.
It really has had more to do with educating my audience, and things that I know that I don't necessarily do a great job of communicating what I'm trying to say. So for instance, in the last 5 years, I've tried to pivot from being focused on design to really working the brand strategy and marketing side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But the education gap, especially, my name says Reineke Design, it does create some tension in talking to people about how design is more than a logo. So I know all this, but transferring that knowledge to potential clients and prospects in a way that I'm not over here, then over there, then, all over the place, trying to give them all of marketing theory in one in one meal. I think that's kind of where I've struggled, because I want to get it all out there, and it takes time. It's a slow burn.
So, okay. So that's I feel like maybe I misunderstood your original question, or this is a new question, but my answer to what you're talking about is don't. Like,
fair enough.
Yes, I think it's great to educate folks and do that through like blogs and videos, right? And do that, you have a wealth of knowledge. And so putting that out there as content for your business, I think is extremely valuable. That's how you market, right? And that's how you can become the expert. But once you get that prospect meeting, so this is my personal style, and like you have to decide what works for you. Like, one, I am very much there to answer my clients' questions. That's one of the first. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Tell me more. Like, the first meeting's always about them. It's fact finding. What's their goals? What's their budget? And then I don't do any sort of like selling of the thing in the beginning, because it's like, well, I need to really understand you before I can tell you what makes the most sense about me. Right? Because some clients, maybe the design part isn't important to them, and so you never really need to talk about it, but here's what is important to them. So really figuring out what they want to focus on so that you can tailor your educating material to them and not just telling. And the other thing is, at the end of the day, like, I don't feel like it's my job to explain to you like how I'm going to do everything. That's why you're hiring me. And either you trust me or you don't. And if you don't trust me, after we've kind of gone through this like fact finding, I share with you a proposal, we talk through it. And then if you don't trust me at that point, then we're not the right fit. And so being okay with also letting people go, because I'm going to tell you that probably if someone is so concerned about how you're going to do something, or trying to like get more information out of you, that there's a disconnect somewhere, because that's why they're hiring you as a marketer, is because they don't understand, they don't know, they need help, and probably they don't really want to know all the ideology behind design. And there's a certain point where you're just like, this works, here you go, this works, and take it or leave it. And I mean, you're going to know more about your client, so you're going to know how to have that tough conversation in a way that isn't, rude or disrespectful, because you've built trust along the way. But I don't know, that's my opinion to you there, is like, share the content as a marketing resource for yourself. And then if you feel like you need to educate one of your clients, send them a link to that blog or to that video, right? Versus trying to go down this rabbit trail because you've said, this is the best thing that I have to offer by doing that blog or that video. Send them that and be like, here's the truth.
Thank you. That's perfect. I'm going to take a step back because I think I've capitalized on the conversation here, but thank you so
Oh,
much.
that was great.
Great and great
Super
questions. I think it applies to all of us.
I think with design too specifically. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think with design specifically, a lot of companies don't emphasize how to create consistency, like brand consistency and familiarity, and how that drives long-term equity. So in you creating like educational videos and stuff like that, what aspects of design are you incorporating into that to establish that familiarity with your brand, whether it's with your, your end screens, your YouTube thumbnails, things like that. You can incorporate it in a lot throughout your brand. So maybe like not everybody's not going to necessarily be super concerned with, design philosophy and why you need to use a curved line versus a right angle or something like that in your logo and all of that stuff. But you can definitely communicate from like a top level perspective that value of the familiarity with design. So yeah, and then also to some other things that you were talking about earlier. A lot of it I think comes down to like there are our target audience, but then there's personas, like getting very specific. Who are these people that we're trying to target? What age are they? What are their interests? What are their financial circumstances right now? Do they have children? Do they not? And where are they in that funnel process from awareness all the way to advocacy? And something that you were touching on, Randy, is the value. Well, something that isn't really included in the funnel of awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty, and advocacy is value and education. And so, yeah, you can drive loyalty through providing education, but that's way down that funnel, close to past conversion even. So how do you create educational, informative content that is valuable or simply just enjoyable for your audience? How do you get their attention and keep that attention so that you're the person that they're thinking of top of mind whenever they do decide that, oh, I need this service or this product or whatever that may be. So, yeah.
Yeah, spot on. And I think like everything you're talking about, Clay, is like very much like that's why you have to do this work before you ever start the campaign, right? Because it's like if you're just spitfiring and trying all these different things, you're gonna go crazy. You're gonna go insane. And so all of those components I think are spot on and like really it's part of your marketing strategy. And so really spending the time on the front end to dive into defining your target audience, defining your brand persona as well, like defining all of those things before you can really go into the actual campaign. And I think that's spot on.
And something else was it Christian, as far as squirreling is concerned, I do that too. I don't call it squirreling. I call it like going to my patio or my cave, whatever it is. But if you can, whenever you get those ideas or whatever, if you can tie that into a top level view of how that attaches to your 90-day goals or 30-day goals, however you do your objective, like this is what I'm working towards right now. If it fits in there, then great, add it in there and see how, maybe don't react to it immediately unless it's just absolutely necessary, but put it in there and see how you feel about it the next week and see if it's still relevant, then go for it and drive it, and managing that in Asana. I think you mentioned that too, Randy. Did you say Asana? Yeah. So I keep track.
For sure.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I keep a lot of project management tools busy with all of my would-be projects.
Yeah. And one other thing too, as far as to everybody on here really that are like business owners trying to like get their voice out there and whatever, even the education system, thinking about, building your own content, like creating a quality video with good audio and everything is challenging. The editing process is difficult. Like you can get really analytical with it. So maybe trying to think of like a cross partnership strategy, if you want to call it that. Who has a podcast, or who do you know that is on a local news station, or where can you get like FaceTime, get an interview with somebody else that their audience is your audience technically, and how can you capitalize on that? whether it's through offering a free value offer or something like that, or just driving traffic simply to your social media and saying, hey, I post on here all the time and there's, enjoyable content, but there's also value in there too. So I think that's another good way of capitalizing on that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we do actually have another question in the comments from Jim. And Jim, feel free to jump in if you have anything to add. He says, Randy, can you share some other creative ways in addition to focus groups, which is a good idea, to sell in this market? Sorry, I stuttered a little bit on that.
Yeah. Jim, I don't remember what you said you did. I would love to.
He had to step away when we were doing it.
The dog might be barking in the background here. I'm a business consultant, so more of a generalist.
Okay.
And just looking for some ideas, particularly as far as social media goes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was going to say, obviously, on the consultant side, obviously, social media can be a great resource. And I think the most basic thing, like selling in this market, is one, like, how do you take whatever your product or your service is and you get it online, whatever that looks like. And I know there's a ton of like product-based businesses. I don't want to say they have it easy, but like it's a very simple, like create an online store and sell stuff, right? But when you're service-based, I think, Julie, you said you created that membership. I know Soma Massage here in town created a membership base as well through Pantheon's been something that a lot of people have used where it's that membership base. So if there's something that you can sell, right, from your knowledge or your expertise, turning that into a product essentially that you can market online. As far as like the consultant side, I mean, social media has never been more relevant. And I think right now, and we're kind of, things are beginning to open up. Things will kind of, in theory, might start to pick up a little bit more and speed up. But right now is the perfect time to really be focusing on defining your target audience, defining who they are, where they are, what matters to them, and then creating that prospect list. 100%, like if you, from a social media standpoint, if you're just going out there and making posts and hope that you catch someone, maybe you'll have some success. But if you're strategic in every other component of your business, why wouldn't you be strategic in social media? And so taking, probably the part that takes the most time is defining that target audience, which Clay is spot on, is creating that audience persona. And that specific audience that's going to be on social media, maybe a specific group of who they are, maybe what industry they're in, and then creating your I believe in your top 100 prospect list. That may be too many for someone, but don't go over 100 because then it becomes too overwhelming for you to really manage from a social selling standpoint. But create a top 100 prospect list that's in line with your target audience, which you've spent quite a bit of time defining who they are. There's tons of audience persona templates. Email me. I'm happy to pass along some knowledge and some resources as far as templates go to really taking time to define the audience. But then put together your top 100 prospects. And I'm going to move over to this desk over here because my charger's over here. Move over to your top 100 prospects. And the best place to find those are going to be on your I'm still here. The best place to find those are going to be through your own referral, your own clients, going to them first, and then going online. So actually looking, and I can email me and I'll send you some other tips. Actually have a social selling course online that we're about to launch that talks more about this. Myself and Heather Steele with Blue Steel have put it together because it's social selling so pertinent. But really creating that top 100, and then kind of back to, I think Clay said something about like what content is really relevant to them. And so like if you've really defined your audience and really focused on that top 100, then the way that you're going to go about interacting on social, whether it's your content or how you're going to engage with them, is really going to be very defined, because you're going to know what's relevant to them and what problem you solve and what they care about. And so again, taking that time to really define that list and then seeing where they are on social is going to be, I think, one of the most successful tools that we can do. As if you're, that B2C kind of B2B, depending upon which one you are, it might be different about what social media platform you go and really focus on. But I know there's been a lot of people that have had some success, but just really taking time to build that relationship marketing concept on the front end, especially as a consultant. So I would say that would be the place where I would start. And then once you do that, you create a really epic, awesome email drip campaign. And that's the beginning of your funnel.
Yeah, that's great advice, Randy. In fact, what I did was I created a COVID-19 toolkit that I'm providing to people. So you reinforced that I'm heading in the right direction. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Let me know how it goes.
Okay.
I'd love to see your toolkit.
Okay, well, include your email on here and I will.
Yeah, I will. I'll put it in there.
Randy, what was the platform that you named for memberships?
Oh, Pantheon. I haven't personally used it, but it was trending in Denton for a while. A lot of places were using it, and it seems like folks, it was pretty user friendly. Soma Massage, Amber Briggle over at Soma used it, and I'm sure if anybody wants to learn more about that, it's very much focused on that membership based concept. So you're creating like different member levels. If anybody wanted to learn more about it, I'm sure she would be happy to kind of tell you her experience. And I'm pretty sure it's very affordable too. Awesome. The only thing I didn't like about it is that it takes traffic away from your website. I didn't really like that. But if you don't have the ability to build something into your website, whether you don't know how, or maybe you don't have the budget to work with somebody else, it is an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions or comments they want to chime in with? We've had a great discussion so far.
I just really want to say thank
everybody
you.
else is.
Awesome. What, Lacey?
I just wanted to say thanks. This has been super helpful. Just the whole conversation as a one-person marketing team for Stoke. So yeah, thank you.
I also wanted to say thank you. Thanks a lot, Randy. This was a great session this morning.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I want to thank all of y'all because I feel like everybody added something to the conversation and really brought some unique perspectives and concepts. So, I mean, at the end of the day, y'all, there ain't one right way of doing anything. So, I mean, you got to try. And I think having conversations like this and creating your own kind of group of people that are part of your trusted advisors, whether it's just somebody that's marketing or a business owner, I mean, that's how we keep from squirreling, right, Christian?
Is he there?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He nodded.
I love the squirreling, by the way. I think there's a lot of great takeaways from this session, but that was a very good one.
Somebody said we needed shirts. Squirreling down the rabbit trail. Julie said we needed shirts. So maybe we can get with Pint Services and get them to whip us up.
I'm on it already.
Okay. I'll buy one.
We
I'm
should
serious.
have a blind logo or a blind graphic competition for that to match that.
My.
Oh, that would be fun.
Well, and I just wanted to give Randy a quick shout out too. She and I set up a one-on-one time after the last presentation that she did, and I was just so very impressed with her knowledge base and her ability to connect, virtually. It's hard being an entrepreneur. I mean, Christian said it, like, these are our babies, and different product lines and our logo and our brand. I mean, it's all so very personal, especially in a time like this where it's literally our bread and butter right now. I mean, this is our lifeline, so I just wanted to give Randy a shout out and say thank you. And thankfully we were approved for our PPP, so we're very excited. And so we'll be able to move forward with some of our plans, including a rebranding. And
I am so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll be talking soon.
Yes, we will.
Oh my God, my Tuesday just got better. I was just thinking, I was like, I'm running out of fun projects. I need another fun project.
You got one. You got
okay.
One. So thank you, and I appreciate the other brand professionals on as well. Sharing their experiences, and Really great. So next, Lacey, you're also going to get hit up today because I'm serious about Slack. Like I found my login and I really want to like get with this century and understand how to use it better. So.
It's awesome. You might end up wanting to use it with some of your clients too, honestly, once you kind of figure it out. I know a lot of folks use it with for their projects and stuff with clients.
Cool. I'm excited to
We
learn.
might even start like,
please email me. I would love to connect and learn more about what you do and, see if there's ever any future collaboration, man.
Hey, Nicole and Randy, speaking of testimonials, we need that. We need that connection.
Yeah.
That happened. Lacey, or maybe we'll get you on
Well, and we'll have a really good before and after case study. I'm just going to speak it now. I know that because we're going from 0 to 1,000, and yeah, absolutely. Let's do that.
Yeah, hit us up, Lacey.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and say I would like to go ahead and implement something that I learned from Randy today. If all of you who are in attendance would like to hop onto Facebook or Google and review Stoke and talk about Coffee and Convo or any other virtual things that you've attended, you don't have to be a member to say, I attended a Stoke event and it was helpful. Like today's Coffee and Convo has been so engaging and it's been great to hear from everyone.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from Kristen too. So yeah, please do that. Not afraid to ask.
Yeah, and it's good for us to know. All feedback is good.
Yeah, and just a quick suggestion, maybe on like Member Huddle or Coffee and Convo, we can use the chat just to like say hi and like one thing we want to share with everybody, whether it's what we do or, good news or something like that, just because sometimes people are getting on and off at various times. Like I missed the intro time this morning because of my computer update. So just a quick suggestion, because I was like, oh, what does Clay do again? I'm like trying to find him on, so you know what I mean? Something like that for new folks.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely keep that in mind. A good way to keep having that in the conversation, even when people join a little bit later. Yeah, because it is nice to know everyone's backgrounds and needs and what they do and everything. Any other questions, comments, thank yous to Randy?
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Randy.
Ari and Heather and Lacey, for just facilitating all this awesome conversation.
Yeah, we love having you. All right. Well, we have one other message. Let's see. Oh, it's the Facebook. Okay. Well, if that's it, then I'll go ahead and end the meeting. But it was so nice talking with all of you today. And thanks again, Randy. Like Lacey said, it's been really engaging and super educational. So I'm excited for next time we can all do this.
Hey, everybody, wait, one last thing.
No problem.
Take a selfie. I forgot last time and I'm kicking myself. So, okay, I think I can do it. I'm not very good at it. Okay, everybody wave. Okay, that's it. I'll tag y'all.
I took a screenshot too.
Sweet. Okay.
Very cool.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thanks, Eve.